Backloggd is doing another replay event where you can pick your favorite game from a certain year in various categories and finally crown your own game of the year. This time we're talking about 2008. The 7th console generation is in full force, and as such I have to say I'm gonna have to reveal my distaste for this general era of gaming here. There were still some good games, but scrolling down the list it's a whole lot of shooters and various 3D action games I really couldn't give much less of a fuck about. So I'm not gonna go gushing about this year here, but I do still have some picks for myself. They might just not be entirely representative of the year itself. Multiplayer is usually more of a throwaway category for me. However, in and around 2008 I did actually play some multiplayer games, and more so than any other game, Super Smash Bros. Brawl took up most of my multiplayer playtime. I actually have a bit of a story for this one. See, the most exposure to Nintendo games I'd had before around this time was playing Pokemon, Kirby and Super Mario Land on my Game Boy Color. So when I was able to try this game at someone else's house, I was really only familiar with those select few associated characters, but having this huge roster of characters that all seemed to have so much history behind them really got my imagination going. Fast forward to Christmas, probably 2009, but I'm not totally sure, I get a Wii bundled with Super Smash Bros. Brawl. As a multiplayer party fighter, it was great fun. Any comparisons to other games would mean nothing to me because this was my first one. And either way, nobody had ever heard of the GameCube at this point. But that changed with this game. See, Brawl was not just a fighting game, it also had a single player, endless amounts of trophies and stickers and whatever else to collect. It had game demos for the Virtual Console to get you a taste of what the games these characters were from are like. In other words, it was the perfect place to learn about the history of Nintendo and where you might like to go next with your birthday and Christmas wishes. Honestly, a genius move by Nintendo, and I wonder why they never included game demos in Smash again after this point. Just immersing myself in this whole new world through this game pretty much made me a Nintendo fan all on its own, and that alone deserves it a spot on this list. Runner-up is Mario Kart Wii, though I honestly can't say I actually enjoy that game much anymore the way I do this one. Soundtrack is another category that could have easily gone to Super Smash Bros. Brawl, but my desire to give every category a different game and a suspiciously Smash Bros. Shaped hole in the multiplayer category in the end gave the soundtrack win to Mega Man 9. Now, I've already talked about this game on its own before, watch my Mega Man marathon to find out more, but in terms of its soundtrack, as a classic Mega Man game, it certainly is in the upper echelon. As an NES throwback game, it's all chiptunes, and in general, it tends to reference Mega Man 2's soundtrack at times. Especially the title theme makes me do the DreamWorks face whenever I hear it. Partially, it even straight up uses the Mega Man 2 soundtrack, for example for the main menu. Other than that though, it's really quite fantastic. It pretty much nails the style of the NES Mega Man games, and pretty much every single stage theme is driving and catchy in its own way. Just the way it should be. My favorites are Concrete Jungle, Hornet Dance, Galaxy Fantasy, and finally Magma Burning. Choosing a game with a deliberately retro approach to its music might seem weird when talking about the best games of the year, but that might also give you a hint as to what the rest of this list might be like. Runner-ups for this category are actually the same as the multiplayer nominees with Mario Kart Wii and Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Mario Kart Wii might have had a real chance if I'd done this ranking before playing through the Mega Man series, so tough luck I guess. Art direction in 2008 is a real tough one, because early 7th gen is in my opinion just about when games were the ugliest. So you know what? I'm gonna go with a PS2 late bloomer. Persona 4. It has cool demon designs, the PS2 character models are super fun, colorful and expressive, and except for the dungeons, all of the environments have a lot of character to them and are fun to look at. Don't really have much to say about this one, it just looks nice. There are no runner-ups for any of the last 3 categories. Gameplay, now we're talking. But this is really where I had to kinda throw in the towel. Gameplay was really slim pickings for 2008 and, well, in the end I went for an updated re-release of an earlier game that includes a new game from 2008, which is also an updated re-release of an earlier game, but with new content. I am, of course, talking about Trackmania United Forever and Trackmania Nations Forever. Trackmania Nations was a free game that released in 2006 to promote and be part of that year's Electronic Sports World Cup. It was the 3rd game in the Trackmania series and it proved to be immensely popular with the introduction of the stadium car and environment. Later that same year, the developer Nadeo released Trackmania United, which united all of the previous Trackmania games' gameplay styles into one package with an entirely new campaign and some updates to the stadium environment, which they could afford to do now that it was part of an actual paid release. Then, in 2008, Nadeo released Trackmania Nations Forever, a new version of Trackmania Nations, also free, which had an entirely new stadium-only campaign and became a small sensation for a little while. Simultaneously, they updated Trackmania United to Trackmania United Forever, which included some minor changes, but most importantly, it sort of built a pairing around Trackmania Nations Forever and Trackmania United Forever as a sort of free demo for the actual real paid game in Trackmania United Forever. So why am I hesitant to use these as my gameplay games of the year? Well, because the gameplay is essentially unchanged from Trackmania United in 2006. Release format, menus and everything else aside, they're essentially just level packs. Not even in the way you could kinda say like, oh, Crash 3 didn't really change much from Crash 2 on a base level. No, the gameplay is actually identical. But as I am looking at the other 2008 releases, I have to give in and just pick the Trackmania Forever family. The only game here that can rival my Trackmania United Forever playtime is Super Smash Bros. Brawl and 76 hours? Actually, that makes a lot of sense considering my playtime restrictions at this point in time, so yeah. Actually, I should probably describe what qualifies Trackmania for this spot in the first place. Trackmania is the quintessential time trial racing game. It's the main game mode. The controls are super simple, so most of the complexity comes from both the track design and car physics. Trackmania has incredibly direct control over your car, and each car has essentially entirely different properties to it that make them unique. This is why Trackmania United Forever is my go-to game in the series. Yes, the stadium car is also my favorite, but that doesn't mean I don't want to play with snow, desert, bay or island. Rally and coast also exist. What really makes these games though is the track editor. Hunting good times on the campaigns is fun, but once you have all of those author medals, there's a whole world of user-created tracks waiting out there. It's fun! Anyway. That just leaves narrative, and well, this is where I'm going to yet again cheat a little. Do you consider visual novels video games? Well, that doesn't matter, because if I'm going to give anything the narrative award, it should be what is most deserving of that title, and in my opinion, that is the originally 2008 released Wii visual novel 428 Shibuya Scramble. 428 Shibuya Scramble is a crime drama about a kidnapping and its subsequent failure of a ransom exchange. It follows the young detective Kano as he pursues the kidnappers and tries to find out why Maria Osawa was kidnapped in the first place. It is also a teen drama following the former gang member and mean clean Archie Endo as he tries to do the right thing and help out a girl in need. It is also a psychological horror story about Kenji Osawa, who has to deal with the kidnapping of his daughter and discovers strange experiments that seem to be connected to the drug he was developing. It is also a slapstick comedy following Tama, a girl in a cat costume trying to earn some money and find a way to take off that uncomfortable headpiece. And finally, it follows reporter Minoru Minorikawa as he tries to complete an issue of a magazine entirely within one day. These story threads are accessed in parallel as you make decisions that will influence the other stories at certain points of intersection. It's incredibly cool as a concept and very entertaining throughout. Think of it like a playable version of Durarara, just with an actual good story. I feel like less people are gonna have seen Durarara than played this game at this point, so I don't know why I'm even making that comparison. And well, that's also my game of the year. As one of my favorite games of all time, 428 Shibuya Scramble certainly deserves that spot, even if it kinda falls out of line with my usual gameplay focused choices. I have a feeling this isn't gonna be a majority choice, so why don't you let me know your lists? And if you enjoyed this video, why don't you watch some more and subscribe to my channel? Bye!